The secret formula. Napoleon Hill discovered from 500 millionaires. There exists a formula, a blueprint hidden in plain sight, embedded in the very fabric of human achievement. For 20 years, Napoleon Hill interviewed over 500 of the most successful men and women of his time. Steel magnate Andrew Carnegie, inventor Thomas Edison, automotive pioneer Henry Ford. What he discovered wasn't just a collection of success stories, it was something far more profound. A universal code that transforms ordinary human beings into extraordinary forces of nature. Tonight, you're about to unlock that same formula, not as theory, not as wishful thinking, but as the raw, unfiltered truth about how success actually works in the real world. Picture this. You're standing at the edge of two different lives. In one direction lies the path most people take, the road of comfortable mediocrity, where dreams slowly fade into regrets, where potential withers into what if. In the other direction lies something else entirely, a life where your deepest desires don't just remain fantasies, but become inevitable realities, where your mind becomes a powerful magnet, drawing opportunities, relationships, and resources toward you with unstoppable force. The difference between these two lives isn't talent, it isn't luck, it isn't even circumstances. The difference is knowledge, the knowledge of how your mind actually works, how thoughts become things, how invisible forces shape visible results. Andrew Carnegie understood this when he built his steel empire from nothing. He wasn't the strongest man, he wasn't the smartest man, but he possessed something more valuable than both, the understanding that success begins in the mind long before it manifests in the world. He knew that every great fortune, every revolutionary invention, every lasting achievement starts as a single burning thought in someone's consciousness. This is where your transformation begins. Not in your bank account, not in your circumstances, but in the secret chamber of your mind, where thoughts are forged into destiny. The first pillar of this formula is what Hill called the starting point of all achievement, a definite chief aim. But this isn't about setting goals. This is about discovering the one burning desire that consumes you, the vision so powerful it rewrites your very DNA. Thomas Edison didn't just want to invent things. He was obsessed with bringing light to the world, literally and metaphorically. When others saw darkness, he saw possibility. When others saw failure, he saw feedback. His laboratory wasn't just a workplace, it was a temple dedicated to his singular obsession. Every experiment, every setback, every breakthrough was guided by one unwavering purpose. Your mind is the most sophisticated success mechanism ever created, but it needs precise programming. Just as a heat-seeking missile locks onto its target and adjusts its course with every mile, your subconscious mind will guide you toward whatever you've programmed as your definite chief aim. But here's the critical part. It cannot distinguish between what you want and what you fear. It only responds to what you focus on with emotional intensity. This is why most people fail before they even begin. They carry vague wishes instead of definite desires. They hope for success while programming their minds for failure. They say they want wealth while secretly believing they don't deserve it. They dream of greatness while conditioning themselves for mediocrity. The millionaires Hill studied had eliminated this internal conflict. They had achieved what he called harmony of purpose. Every thought, every emotion, every action aligned with their definite chief aim. They didn't just think about success occasionally. They lived, breathed, and dreamed it until the line between their identity and their purpose disappeared completely. But desire alone is not enough. The second pillar of this formula is applied faith, not religious faith, but the scientific principle of absolute conviction. This is the bridge between the invisible world of thought and the visible world of results. Henry Ford exemplified this principle when he conceived the V8 engine. His engineers told him it was impossible. The laws of physics, they said, wouldn't allow 8 cylinders to be cast in one block. Ford's response was simple: produce it anyway. For months his team brought him reports of failure. Each time Ford replied, go back and try again. He had absolute faith that what his mind could conceive and believe, his organization could achieve. That V8 engine didn't just revolutionize the automotive industry. It demonstrated a fundamental law of success. When you have unwavering faith in your vision, you activate forces beyond your conscious understanding. Resources appear, people emerge, circumstances align. What seems impossible becomes inevitable. This is where most people stumble. They mistake faith for blind optimism. True faith is based on an understanding of how the universe operates. It's the recognition that your thoughts are not just electrical impulses in your brain. They are creative forces that shape reality itself. Every great achievement in human history began as someone's impossible dream. The Wright brothers were told that humans would never fly, Disney was told that adults wouldn't watch cartoons. Edison was called a failure by his teachers. But these individuals possessed something their critics lacked: the ability to hold their vision with such clarity and conviction that reality had no choice but to conform to their expectations. The third pillar builds upon the first two, the cultivation of specialized knowledge. But this isn't about collecting information. This is about becoming a master of your chosen field, developing expertise so profound that the world has no choice but to recognize your value. Carnegie didn't just learn about steel production, he became the undisputed master of it. He studied every aspect of the industry, from mining raw materials to understanding market forces. But more importantly, he understood that knowledge is only potential power. It becomes real power when it's organized and directed toward a definite end. In today's world, this principle is more critical than ever. Information is everywhere, but wisdom remains rare. The internet has democratized access to knowledge, but it has also created an ocean of distraction. Those who succeed in this environment are not necessarily the ones with the most information, but those who can transform information into insight, insight into strategy, and strategy into results. The millionaires Hill studied were perpetual students. They understood that the moment you think you know everything about your field is the moment you begin to fall behind. They invested more in their minds than in their wardrobes. They spent more time developing their abilities than impressing their neighbors, but specialized knowledge without application is worthless. This brings us to the fourth pillar: organized planning. This is where dreams begin their metamorphosis into reality. Every great enterprise begins with a plan. Not a perfect plan. Perfection is the enemy of progress. But a definite plan, reviewed constantly, adjusted continuously, and executed relentlessly. The plan is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Lincoln understood this when he planned his path to the presidency. He didn't just decide one day to run for office. For years, he systematically built his reputation, developed his skills, and positioned himself for the opportunity. When that opportunity came, he was ready, not because of luck, but because of preparation. Your plan must be more than a wish list. It must be a detailed blueprint that specifies exactly what you intend to achieve, by what date, what you will give in return, and the specific steps you will take. Vague plans produce vague results. Specific plans, backed by definite desires and unwavering faith, produce extraordinary results. The fifth pillar might surprise you: the mastermind. This is the principle of organized effort, the understanding that no one achieves great success alone. Every millionaire Hill studied had surrounded themselves with a carefully chosen group of advisors, partners, and allies. Carnegie's mastermind included some of the brightest business minds of his era. Edison surrounded himself with brilliant inventors and skilled craftsmen. Ford built a team of engineers, designers, and business people who shared his vision of mass-produced automobiles. But the mastermind is more than just teamwork. It's the coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between two or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. When minds work together in harmony, they create a third invisible force, a mastermind that is greater than the sum of its parts. In your own life, this means carefully choosing who you spend time with. The people around you are either lifting you toward your goals or pulling you away from them. There is no neutral ground. Your associates will either inspire you to greatness or infect you with their limitations. Successful people understand this instinctively. They seek mentors who have achieved what they want to achieve. They build relationships with peers who share their commitment to excellence. They carefully limit their exposure to negative influences, not out of arrogance but out of necessity. The sixth pillar transforms everything: decision and persistence. Hill discovered that successful people have the habit of reaching decisions quickly and changing them slowly, if at all. Unsuccessful people reach decisions slowly and change them frequently. This isn't about being stubborn or inflexible. It's about understanding that indecision is decision, a decision to remain where you are. In a world of infinite possibilities, those who cannot decide are paralyzed by choice. Those who decide quickly and stick to their decisions cut through uncertainty like a sword through silk. Edison made over 10,000 attempts to perfect the incandescent light bulb. When asked about his failures, he replied, "I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." This wasn't just positive thinking. This was the mindset of someone who understood that persistence is the direct result of habit. Every temporary defeat carries within it the seed of equivalent advantage. The world is filled with educated derelicts, people with knowledge but no persistence. It's also filled with persistent people who lack knowledge. But when you combine knowledge with persistence, when you couple specialized expertise with unwavering determination, you become unstoppable. Consider the current moment. Right now, as you absorb these words, your subconscious mind is processing not just the information but the emotion behind it. It's creating new neural pathways, new patterns of thought that will influence your decisions for years to come. This is not merely motivation. This is mental reconditioning at the deepest level. The seventh pillar unlocks everything else: the power of the subconscious mind. This is where the formula becomes almost mystical in its power. Your subconscious mind is the connecting link between finite man and infinite intelligence. It's the mechanism through which thoughts become things, dreams become realities, and desires become achievements. But your subconscious mind is also completely impartial. It will work just as hard to make you poor as rich, just as diligently to keep you sick as healthy, just as efficiently to make you fail as succeed. It responds to the dominating thoughts you fed it through repetition, emotional intensity, and faith. This is why autosuggestion, the practice of deliberately programming your subconscious mind, is so critical. Every night before sleep, every morning upon waking, you have the opportunity to plant new seeds in the fertile soil of your subconscious, not through empty affirmations, but through emotionally charged visualizations of your definite chief aim. Carnegie practiced this religiously. Every night he would visualize his steel empire in complete detail, the factories, the workers, the products, the profits. He would see himself as the successful businessman he intended to become. He would feel the emotions of achievement before the achievement existed. This wasn't daydreaming. This was scientific mental conditioning. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you consistently visualize yourself achieving your goals with emotional intensity, your subconscious begins to accept these visions as reality. It then begins to guide your conscious actions toward making these visions manifest in the physical world. But visualization without action is merely fantasy. The eighth pillar brings everything together: controlled attention and organized effort. This is where the rubber meets the road, where mental preparation becomes physical manifestation. Successful people understand that attention is the most valuable currency in the modern world. Where you place your attention determines where your energy flows. Where your energy flows determines your results. In an age of infinite distraction, the ability to focus your attention on your definite chief aim becomes your greatest competitive advantage. Ford didn't just dream about mass-produced automobiles, he organized every aspect of his life around making this dream reality. His attention was laser-focused on solving the problem of affordable transportation. Every conversation, every decision, every investment was filtered through this single lens. This level of focus creates what scientists now call the reticular activating system, your brain's automatic filtering mechanism. When you're truly focused on a goal, your mind begins to notice opportunities, resources, and connections that were always there but previously invisible to you. Think about the last time you were shopping for a particular car. Suddenly you began seeing that model everywhere. The cars were always there. Your focused attention simply made you aware of them. The same principle applies to opportunities, to resources, to the people who can help you achieve your goals. The ninth pillar separates the extraordinary from the ordinary: continuous learning and adaptation. Hill discovered that every millionaire he studied was committed to lifelong learning. They understood that in a changing world, the penalty for refusing to learn is obsolescence. Disney exemplified this principle throughout his career. When sound was introduced to films, he was among the first to embrace it. When color became possible, he pioneered its use in animation. When television emerged, he didn't see it as a threat to movies. He saw it as a new medium to master. His willingness to learn and adapt kept him at the forefront of entertainment for decades. Today, this principle is more critical than ever. The half-life of specific skills is shrinking rapidly. What got you here won't get you there. The individuals and organizations that thrive are those that embrace change as an opportunity rather than a threat. But learning without application is intellectual entertainment. True learning transforms your capabilities, expands your possibilities, and increases your value to others. It's not enough to know, you must do. You must risk failure for the possibility of breakthrough. The 10th pillar crowns everything else: the habit of gratitude coupled with the law of increasing returns. Hill discovered that every successful person he studied practiced gratitude, not as an occasional gesture, but as a daily discipline. This isn't about positive thinking or spiritual practice, though it can be both. This is about understanding a fundamental law of psychology: what you appreciate appreciates. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you create an emotional state that attracts more of what you desire. But gratitude must be coupled with giving. Every great fortune is built on the foundation of service to others. Carnegie didn't become wealthy by trying to get rich. He became wealthy by solving problems for other people on a massive scale. His steel built the infrastructure of modern America. His wealth was simply the byproduct of the value he created. This is the paradox of success. The more you focus on giving, the more you receive. The more value you create for others, the more valuable you become. The more problems you solve, the more opportunities present themselves. In today's interconnected world, this principle is amplified. A single idea, properly executed, can create value for millions of people simultaneously. A single innovation can transform entire industries. A single individual, properly prepared, can influence the course of human history. But here's what Hill discovered that changes everything. Success is not just about having the right formula. It's about becoming the kind of person who naturally applies this formula. It's about identity transformation at the deepest level. Every person you admire, every achievement you respect, every breakthrough that has advanced human civilization began with someone making a fundamental decision, not just deciding what they wanted to accomplish, but deciding who they needed to become to accomplish it. Edison didn't just decide to invent the light bulb, he decided to become the kind of person who could persist through 10,000 failures. Carnegie didn't just decide to build a steel empire, he decided to become the kind of leader who could inspire thousands of workers toward a common vision. Ford didn't just decide to mass-produce automobiles, he decided to become the kind of innovator who could revolutionize manufacturing itself. This is where most people get it wrong. They focus on changing their circumstances instead of changing themselves. They want different results while remaining the same person. They expect the external world to transform while their internal world stays static, but the universe doesn't work that way. External change is always preceded by internal change. Before you can have what you want, you must become who you need to be to have it. Before you can achieve what you desire, you must develop the habits, the mindset, the character of someone who naturally achieves such things. This transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens through thousands of small decisions, made consistently over time. It happens when you choose discipline over comfort, when you choose growth over security, when you choose possibility over probability. Every morning you wake up with a choice. You can spend your day reacting to circumstances, or you can spend it creating circumstances. You can let your environment shape you, or you can shape your environment. You can be a victim of your conditions, or you can be the architect of your conditions. The millionaires Hill studied had made this choice definitively. They had decided to be creators rather than creatures, leaders rather than followers, causes rather than effects. This wasn't arrogance, it was responsibility. The responsibility that comes with recognizing your own power. Right now, as you process these ideas, something profound is happening in your consciousness. Old patterns of thought are being challenged. New possibilities are being considered. The formula Hill discovered isn't just being explained to you, it's being installed in you. But installation is not enough. A computer program that's installed but never run serves no purpose. A formula that's understood but never applied changes nothing. Knowledge without action is powerless. Understanding without implementation is worthless. The question is not whether this formula works. History has proven that beyond any doubt. The question is whether you will work the formula, whether you will move beyond inspiration to implementation, whether you will transform these ideas from interesting concepts into daily practices. Because here's what Hill understood that most people miss. Success is not a destination, it's a way of traveling. It's not something you achieve once and then possess forever. It's something you must choose again and again, moment by moment, decision by decision. Every successful person faces the same fundamental choice you're facing right now. The choice between the comfortable lie of limitation and the uncomfortable truth of possibility. The choice between the familiar prison of past patterns and the uncertain freedom of new potential. The 500 millionaires Hill studied were not superhuman. They were not blessed with supernatural powers. They were ordinary people who discovered and applied extraordinary principles. They were individuals who chose to think, feel, and act differently than the majority. They understood that the mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant there will grow. Plant thoughts of limitation and you'll harvest a life of restriction. Plant thoughts of possibility and you'll harvest a life of achievement. Plant thoughts of fear and you'll harvest a life of anxiety. Plant thoughts of faith and you'll harvest a life of abundance. But unlike a garden, the mind never lies fallow. Something is always growing there. If you don't deliberately plant the thoughts you want, life will plant the thoughts it wants. If you don't consciously choose your mental diet, society will choose it for you. If you don't program your subconscious mind, your environment will program it instead. This is why the formula Hill discovered is not just about achieving material success, it's about taking control of your own consciousness. It's about becoming the deliberate architect of your own experience, instead of the accidental victim of circumstances. The transformation begins the moment you decide it begins. Not tomorrow when conditions are better. Not next week when you have more time. Not next year when you're more prepared. Right now, in this moment, with the awareness you currently possess, you have everything you need to start. You have a brain capable of thought. You have a heart capable of desire. You have hands capable of action. You have a voice capable of influence. You have a life capable of significance. The only question is what you'll do with these gifts. Whether you'll use them to create or to consume. Whether you'll use them to lead or to follow. Whether you'll use them to solve problems or to become one. The 500 millionaires Hill studied made their choice. They chose to use their gifts in service of something greater than themselves. They chose to think beyond their circumstances. They chose to act despite their fears. They chose to persist beyond their failures. Their formula is now yours. Their principles are now available to you. Their mindset is now accessible to you. But their results can only be achieved by you, through you, because of you. The secret formula Napoleon Hill discovered from 500 millionaires is not really a secret at all. It's been hiding in plain sight, waiting for someone with the courage to see it, the wisdom to understand it, and the determination to apply it. That someone is you. The moment is now. The choice is yours.
Your transformation starts not when you finish reading these words, but when you decide to live them, when you stop being impressed by success and start being committed to it, when you stop studying achievement and start achieving it. The 500 millionaires are calling to you across time, extending an invitation to join their ranks, not by accident, not by luck, but by decision, by dedication, by the deliberate application of principles that have transformed ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. The formula is complete. The choice is yours. The future is waiting. What will you build with the rest of your life?